Hello, RSI. My colleagues and I are extremely excited to be before you today to share our thoughts and opinions on the opportunities that are facing your business. Now, when it comes to things that we believe that you should pursue and what we're recommending today, there are four. First and foremost, we really should continue to pursue the consolidation with Lavish because you're well positioned to do this. When it comes to a franchising perspective, we believe that you can really spread this business model throughout Canada and that this will be very lucrative for your business. Next, we have the partnership opportunity with FFL, a gym. We believe that your business is uniquely primed to move into this gym space and to expand your customer base. And finally, we've got the acquisition of a company called Pure, which is going to give us exposure to environmental products. And as a whole, we can really solidify and improve the quality of our offerings as a business. But we have to really ask ourselves, are we properly positioned in the current situation that we face to make sure that we can capitalize on these opportunities? From a vision statement perspective, we believe that you're well aligned with these different business opportunities, especially with the consolidation of Lavish. But when it comes to your mission statement, we believe that there are two things that we really need to kind of emphasize and focus on a bit more. The first being that of environmental friendliness, and the second being involved and engaged with your local community. If we can do those two things, we can continue to actualize on our key performance metrics, which are being clean, being a quality service, but also being affordable to the individuals who use it. Now, when it comes to managing your stakeholders, there are two key groups that we need to consider, the first being the active and the second being the passive. Active shareholders are going to be particularly interested in hearing the details that we provide today and how those details will align with their different visions and appreciation for what this business should be. When it comes to passive, those individuals are a bit more focused just on the pure returns that are ongoing within the business, and we're going to be very particular about emphasizing those throughout this presentation. The one thing that we want to make sure that we emphasize more than anything else is that ultimately you guys compete upon intimate differentiation, and we're going to continue to do that with all the different strategic options that we pursue.
We have performed financial analysis based on financial statements provided to us. The financial analysis is done to understand and assess the financial strength of both companies. Liquidity ratio, both current ratio and quick ratio, is below 1. Their solvency ratio improved from previous year to this year. Your debt to asset ratio is very high, which means that they will have a challenge for future financing. Their profitability ratio is very high. Their profit margin, net profit and gross profit margin both are very high. Based on this financial analysis, we suggest the company to plan for growth. We have also done internal and external analysis using SWOT analysis and PESTEL analysis. For SWOT analysis, the major strength of the company is that its highly trained staff provide personalized service to its customers. The weakness is that the company is charging less than its competitors, so it will not be able to pay expenses for a long time. The major threat to this industry is financial condition of the families visiting the spa. It depends on the disposable income of the people, and in recession they will not be able to visit the spa too frequently. In PESTEL analysis, I will emphasize on environmental factors which people really care about. People really care about the organic products to use the services. Also, I will emphasize on socio-cultural. This industry has, in past, it was women industry, but now men are visiting the spas more frequently. So there is an opportunity for growth.
Now that you have a better understanding of the market which you currently operate in, I'd like to talk more about the 4 strategic options that you face. These options each aim to grow the profitability and operations of RSI. The first option I will talk about is the consolidation of RSI and Lavish. Currently, these two companies operate under different brands. However, there is the proposal is actually to consolidate the two brands under one brand identity. There are several pros and cons associated. However, I'd like to highlight a few that we think are really important to take away from today. Firstly, there's a consistent brand identity. This is very in line with your CEO's mandate to join the two companies under one umbrella, so we think this is a really great strength of this option. There's also considerable cost savings available For instance, there's not 2 management teams required anymore, just 1. And Lavish also has a great social media presence that we can leverage. On the negative side, there are issues with the bonus program where they differ between the 2 companies. There's also organizational differences that have been noted by management. However, we feel with time and effort, these can be overcome. Quantitatively, the 2 companies together are less profitable. However, we did note several cost savings available, so we're not worried about this. Another bonus is that there is no investment required, as you've already purchased the shares of Lavish. We're going to start talking about franchising now.
So in regards to RSI's second option, franchising, what they will do is they will offer up franchising opportunities based on their current model of operations. The pros in regards to this are that it will utilize the franchisee's capital rather than their own in regards to expansion, which will allow for them to expand much faster in their environment than they would if they were using the capital they were currently producing. Another pro would be that with these franchisees coming on, with their experience in the industry, RSI would be able to utilize this to build their brand and to possibly bring more opportunities for growth. In regards to cons, the differing values that some of these franchisees might bring on board could prove to have a negative impact in the long run, as it might prove to show some efficiency issues. There may also be difficulty in finding locations that are as lucrative as RSI's current location of operations. In regards to quantitative, they will need 8 franchises to break even. However, in the first year, they'll only need to utilize 5 franchises to maintain their operations. The more therapists for each franchise, the more profitable the location will be in the long run. The individual franchisees are actually the key to success in this factor as well. In regards to financing, they will need $250,000 upfront costs and $65,000 for the first year of activity.
The third option that we will be talking about is the partnership with FFL. FFL is the leading fitness center in Atlantic Canada, and they've actually approached you to open massage therapy centers within their gyms. There are several pros and cons again, however, I'd just like to highlight the ones that are really important. This option is less risky as you're sharing the investment with FFL. They already also have an existing customer base here, so we can really exploit what they already know about these consumers. There's also, on the negative side, there is no brand promotion for RSI, as this will be operating under its own brand name. Their customer volume also depends on the volumes of the gym goers in FFL. Quantitatively, the payback period is approximately 4 months. This is 3 times the initial $50,000 investment. And there is other opportunities associated with partnerships, such as income splitting. And further down the road, we can also incorporate, which has even more benefits, tax, legal, and accounting, to name a few. We'll now talk about acquiring Pure.
So the fourth option RSI can utilize would be to purchase the Pure Substance Inc. One of the pros to going with this alternative is that they'll have a vertical integration of their supply chain, which will allow for them to reduce their costs and improve efficiencies between Pure and RSI. They will also be able to offer an environmentally friendly product they're not only selling but also producing, which will improve their brand image. Some of the cons would be that they have no manufacturing experience in the industry, which may prove to be difficult. They might have to outsource their management expertise. And there might be an ethical dilemma in regards to moving the production facility from PEI to a lower cost company in another province. In regards to the quantitative factors, the revenue has been on the decline for the past few years, whereas the cost of goods sold has been increasing over time. There's also been a large decrease in cash from 2013 to 2014. For financing, the ranges will actually depend on the purchase price and the amount the shareholders are willing to invest themselves.
Now we must discuss the cash flow requirements. So first, looking at year 1, we'll require $210,000, and in year 2, $200,000, and this will be in order to be successful. So how do we do that? We know there are a couple of financial constraints in place. We know that the bank is currently funding $15 million, but we're not in compliance with the bank covenants. As well, we're not meeting the interest coverage ratio. So with that said, we recommend that we avoid any bank financing and we approach Blair Cummings in order to use that convertible debt financing, as this will serve us later in the future as well. Although this will have unfavorable interest rates, there's less stringent covenants associated with it, and there's a greater likelihood that shareholders will receive some of those dividends. Now, looking at those operational issues, it's broken down into 5 key areas. We'll first be looking at the mission and vision. We know that we need to clearly illustrate the services that are provided in order to effectively communicate that to customers as well as to employees so they're able to conduct themselves accordingly. For performance management, we should implement that balanced scorecard in order to align both the business activities as well as with the stakeholder goals as well. From an accounting perspective, we should be in compliance with ASPE in order to meet those user needs, and it's definitely the best framework for this operations for both spa size and operations. From an employee bonus scheme, it should be standardized across both spas as well. It should coincide with the management versus employee level, as managers will be more likely to want that equity side, maybe they want to buy in, whereas lower level employees might be more interested in flex time or other things of that nature. From a governance perspective, as you're aware, monitoring of the overall business operations is highly important. We also kind of noticed as well that the board is sort of lacking, or there's a bit of a void for an individual who has that specific financial expertise. And we definitely find that this is where Blair Cummings would come into play. He's able to sort of fill that void and meet that requirement as he has a background in finance. So now discussing the implementation. As previously discussed, first looking at the consolidation of RSI and Lavish, moving on to the potential franchising opportunities and the partnership with FFL. With that said, the consolidation of RSI and Lavish is particularly with regards to their administration functions. This should be implemented immediately in order to reap those cost-saving benefits. And Sally, you should definitely be the spearhead of this, given that your business acumen and your expertise. Looking at the franchising opportunities, this should be delayed by a year, given that there is that partnership with FFL, and can definitely sort of get comfortable in the industry and gain understanding. So in year 1, the 4 franchises should be opened, and in year 2, we should aim for those 8. The project lead should be Sally and Emily. Emily could take more of an assistant sort of role, screening the locations as well as the potential franchisees as well. The contingency plan, if Emily isn't interested, we could hire externally. That way, you're able to meet all the requirements as long as they definitely make the fit with the business as well. The implication is that there are significant upfront costs here, but we do expect to break even in the second year. Looking at the partnership with FFL, this should be an immediate implementation in order to kind of get our feet wet to gain understanding of the business model. We definitely think the project lead should be Lisa, given her business background as well as she is a current shareholder as well. With that said, we might recommend that she does take a couple additional classes at the community college in order to ensure that her pay is equitable with her peers. If that doesn't work out and we have to look externally, we need to make sure that individual enforces the mission and vision. They're impartial to FFL to ensure that we're not losing the day-to-day business operations, and definite implications would be that there's a $50,000 initial investment upfront cost, and the next step would definitely be incorporation if this flows through accordingly. And now just to wrap it up.
So we'd like to thank you very much for the opportunity to present our ideas and our thoughts on the future for your business. What we really wanted to emphasize was that, first of all, consolidation is a very real possibility for you and it will lead to a lot of success. Then we wanted to really emphasize that partnership and being able to spread your brand and your business around this country is an absolutely optimal idea for you. Then we wanted to make sure that you really understood and appreciated that both moving into the gym opportunity is going to be fantastic because you're going to give access to a whole new customer group. And finally, the acquisition of Pure Studios is really going to allow you to offer that wider range of products, broaden your horizons, and ultimately we're going to be able to drive the returns and the success that your business deserves. So we'd like to really thank you very much for your time today and open the floor to any questions.